Hello, and welcome to another decisions training video. Today, we are going to be discussing a flow step that can have high performance implications on your environment. And that flow step is the rule collection filter step. So let me explain what it does first. This step filters a list of objects by criteria specified in the flow step's properties. This filter functions by creating a rule inside of the step properties that runs against each item in that list of objects. Okay? So it's a great way to be able to filter stuff out. Why is it an issue? Well, it's not so much an issue in itself, but there is a more performant step called a filter list step, where if you don't need any advanced rule filtering on your set of objects, this is a much more performant method to filter out what you need from this particular list of objects. All right. So I'm going to go over when you would want to use one over the other. That is, when you would want to use the filter list over the rule collection filter step and vice versa. So when you are going to use the filter list is when you need to filter a list of items by field values. So one of the fields in your object is something you'll be evaluating either against a constant or maybe a different field. Maybe two fields have to match up somewhere, but you're using standard logic of this contains, this equals, this start with, does not start with, that sort of thing. If you're also trying to use strictly and logic or logic for multiple conditions that will filter out these steps, this is the way to go. Also, this will work if you're only looking for results that match the criteria. All right. Now let's go into when you want to use the rule collection filter step instead. If you need a combination of and or logic for multiple filter conditions, and it cannot be refactored to just use and logic or logic, this may be the way to go. Also, if you need both the matches and the non-matches outputted as separate lists of your object, this might be the way to go, the rule collection filter step. And then lastly, if you're in Decisions version 8 and below, you'll want to use this because the filter step was added in Decisions version 9. So let me go over a demo now on how to utilize this step inside of your environment and how to set up each one of them. All right. All right, here we are inside of my decisions environment. As you can see on my flow designer, I have the filter list step and I have the rule collection filter step. I'm passing into them a custom data type of personnel, which includes person's first name, last name, and email address. All right. And I want to add a filter to each one where the first name starts with the letter A. So this is how you would set that up. You specify the filter. And over here, I have the and or option. So whichever one I select will allow me to combine multiple filters with that logic. Okay, right now I just have one. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, except in the rule collection filter step, you specify this in the rule. You select entity. This is going to take each individual item rather than the list that you pass in, and this is how you handle the logic for it. So same thing here. You would want to select starts with, and then constant the letter A. I'm going to hit done. I'm going to save that. All right. And then here's what I'm going to do. This is going to get passed into the subflow from an outside flow. So I'm going to run the global debugger and run this, and you're going to see what it looks like inside of this flow. Okay. All right. So we're inside the global debugger. And as you can see, it just finished. This one was taking a lot longer than this one, which is what we would expect. We get the same output for both, however. If I go into here and I select purely the output data, you'll see I get 1,495 items. And the same thing over here. If I go to the output data, I will get 1,495 items. So our criteria is working identical between these two, but this filter step is much more performant than the rule collection filter step. So this is a fantastic use case for This step, if you're just trying to filter a bunch of entities by a collection of simple criteria or just one criteria that's on the field, this is the better option. However, let's say that you wanted to split the list up, right? So those that match and those that don't match. The way that you would do that is through the rule collection filter step. And I'll show you that real quick now. Okay, so here we are. Right here on my data to return, I'm going to select return matches and non-matches. So now I have two separate lists of personnel. This is where the rule collection filter step would be, in most cases, more preferable than the filter step because you don't have this option to return two separate lists. Now, you could definitely run two filter steps, right? You could run one after another, one that would filter out just what you're looking for, and one that has the exact opposite logic to filter out everything else, right? However, you can just do that in one step here. So I hope that gives you a general idea on when you would want to use one of these over the other, and when you can use the filter list to help your environment run more performantly than using the rule collection filter step if you're just trying to filter on a few criteria that already have preset rules like contains, equals, starts with. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this helped.